I started in styling and garment composing, and I did that for about 4 years. And in that time, I realized that I was more in love with the construction of a garment rather than putting stuff together on people. So I started with the basics. I put myself through kind of learning the foundations of making stuff, and that started with pattern cutting and then moving on to shirt making because I was really into shirts. And in that time, I met my mentor, who is a bespoke outerwear maker. He's a coat maker, and and yeah, he kind of brought my skill set along even more. And in that time, that's when Saint Birchley was born. Saint Birchley, in a nutshell, is my creative genesis and current state. And that was basically an opportunity for me, once I had had kind of the relevant skill set, like I mentioned, to kind of manifest something that I could create from a very simple place to kind of growing it into much more. I knew it needed to have something that was vast enough to encompass many different things because my mind is always creating, but I have to be aware of what I can create at the time. So it also felt right to kind of be that for the future. Initially, I focused on trying my hardest to supply for restaurants and cafes because once you can supply to them and they're happy with that, you know that your product can withstand everything it needs to be a successful product. So I outfitted a restaurant called Flatiron, a steak restaurant based in Soho, and that was a big one for me. It was the biggest order I ever had, and it was kind of the most collaborative piece as well because they needed something that was really durable, also machine washable, but they wanted leather straps. So machine washing leather isn't great, so we decided to make a removable leather strap, which they were happy with, I was happy with. Used a really beautiful British tall canvas, 14 ounce, really strong. I was watching The Godfather at home, and there's a scene where he comes out of the grocer's and he's wearing a Baker Boy hat, a deck jacket, and he's got just a simple white waist apron. And he like walks out the shop with these groceries on his shoulder. And the scene is like 6 seconds long, but it just kept, kind of stayed in my mind even longer. I thought about it a lot more, and I kind of saw this little gap where I could do it made to order and custom. It was the most organic thing I'd come across. I would like to collaborate with industrial designers because that's also another step into having something that has great function. Globally, I would definitely like to reach the East. I'd love to go to Japan, work there for some time, produce products for that market. I hold the Japanese textile and kind of craft industry in very high regard because their attention to detail and their execution of work is unlike any other. There's very few places in the world that produce to that quality. The people who make kimonos, when they cut from a fabric, they do not waste not one bit. It's calculated so that you use from selvage to selvage each and every centimeter of that fabric, and I find that so awesome. And just to be able to kind of execute something to that precision would be definitely a point that I would like to get in my personal career. It's really hard. We're in a very creative city, and there's a lot of people in here, and there's a lot going on. But if someone's going right, try and go left.